Hi, I'm Nicole Gelormino, and I am a teaching artist. Paint is a glorious material. It is colorful, it is viscous, which means sticky, it is fluid, which means it is wet. Paint moves freely and can be applied in layers. You don't have to know a lot about paint to use it and enjoy it, but you do need access to paint, which might be challenging if you're stuck at home. Today, we're going to make paint using 4 common household materials: sugar, cornstarch, cold water, and food coloring. This recipe came from marthastewart.com. We'll learn about the alchemy of paint and the mechanics of color mixing. Ready?
All paint is made from 3 components: pigment, fluid, and binder. This is true of house paint, nail polish, spray paint, or poster paint. The pigment provides the color. The fluid provides movement. Often it's water. The binder provides viscosity or stickiness. It allows the paint to stick to the page. The paint that we're creating today uses food coloring as the pigment, cornstarch and sugar as the binder, and cold water as the fluid. Here's how much you'll need of each of these ingredients. You'll need 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 cups of water, and a half cup of cornstarch. A whole box of food coloring is ideal. Pause the video now to collect these items. Here's a list of equipment you'll need: measuring cups and spoons, a wooden spoon, a saucepan, a stove or hot plate, and containers or a muffin tin. Be sure to get grown-up help when you are using the stove. Step 1. Mix the sugar and cornstarch into the saucepan. At this point, you are using no heat. The stove is off. You want your measurements to be relatively accurate, so you can use your finger or a butter knife to even out the top of the measuring cup. One, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of sugar. Now grab your wooden spoon and stir it till it's thoroughly mixed. Step 2. Stir in water. Again, remember to use cold water. 2 cups here. The heat is still off, that we're not using the stove yet. At first, when you stir, you're going to notice that there's a lot of resistance. The spoon moves slowly. You should drag the spoon along the bottom of the pan to make sure you completely dissolve the ingredients together. With the next step, you will need grown-up help. Pause the video now to go get grown-up assistance. Step 3 is stir and heat. the mixture. I turned the stove on at about medium heat, and as the mixture heats up, I'm going to continue to stir, especially stirring the bottom of the pan. You'll notice that the mixture is getting thicker, especially along the bottom. You want to keep it thoroughly mixed all the way through so that you don't burn it on the bottom. Once it gets to the consistency of shampoo or mayonnaise, then you can turn the heat off and remove the pan from heat. You still need grown-up help here because the mixture is hot. Step 4 is divide the mixture in small containers or a muffin tin. Step 5, stir in food coloring. Grab a stirring stick, such as a chopstick, and a paper towel to clean your chopstick in between colors. Mixing paint is all about experimentation. I have only 4 different colors of dye: red, yellow, green, and blue. But I can blend them together in different amounts to get different colors. In the first cup in the muffin tin on the lower left-hand corner, I used several drops of yellow. In the second one, I added yellow and red together, and in the one on the right, I blended green and yellow together. I use the stirring stick to ensure that the food dye is blended completely into the medium. The cornstarch mixture is now called the medium. And I use the paper towel to wipe in between colors, but that also allows me to see what the color might look like when I'm painting with it. In this next container, I'm blending another orange using yellow and red to make orange, but I'm using a lot more yellow this time and less red to make a lighter orange or a more yellow orange. When I wipe it on the paper towel, you can see the difference between the yellow orange and the red orange. In general, you want your cups, if you spread out the medium or the cornstarch mixture into approximately 12 containers, you should use about 5 to 12 drops of dye in each container. 5 to 12 seems like a wide range, but if you add 5 drops into the medium, it will give you a lighter color. If you add 12 drops, it'll give you a deeper color. This last color I just made from blending red and green together. That made sort of a rich brownish black. In the next color, I'm blending red and blue to create a purple. I've already made a purple directly below the one that I'm mixing now. In the bottom one, I used more red than blue. In the top purple, I'm using more blue than red. And I'll show you on the paper towel how they compare. The top one is more of a bluish violet and the bottom more of a burgundy purple. Here's one that's just red. When I test it on the paper towel, it looks pretty pink. I like the color, but I'd also like to have a deeper red. So I'll add a larger amount of red to the next container. Again, same color dye, I'm just using red, but I'm changing the amount of dye, adding a lot more this time. Maybe I'll even try adding a little bit more. Let's see how the two reds compare. Oh, the first one is much lighter than the second one. As you mix your colors to create your palette and experiment with different amounts of different colors, take your time and enjoy it. There's no wrong or right way to mix the colors on your palette. And trying out different amounts, different combinations, blending them completely, testing and comparing them on your paper towel is a very enjoyable, pleasing, and relaxing activity. You'll learn how to make colors that you like, and you'll learn how to mix colors that you never knew you could mix. It's also a very forgiving process. If you end up making a color you don't like, you can simply change it by adding 1 or 2 drops of dye. Let's take a look at some notes to help us remember 2 main ideas of color mixing. 2 ways to mix colors. 1. Change the ratio of dye to mixture or medium. That means lots of dye will create a strong color, such as darker red. Less dye will create a lighter color, such as a light pink. 2. Change the ratio of colors of dye. For example, lots of red plus a little blue will create a wine or burgundy purple. Lots of blue plus a little red will create a more bluish violet. Same 2 colors. We've made a beautiful palette of many different colors using food coloring dye and our medium, cornstarch and sugar and water. Step 6, paint or refrigerate. If you're storing in a refrigerator, you can cover with a plastic bag, plastic wrap, wax paper, tin foil, It'll keep for about a week in the fridge before it gets difficult to work with. The sooner you paint, the better. If you're lucky, you might have brushes around. Natural bristles are best. Or you can use anything to paint with. A butter knife, pieces of cardboard. You can even use your fingers with this paint because it's made from edible materials. If you're lucky, you may have white paper lying around, but lots of different surfaces can be painted on. Pieces of newspaper, pages from magazines, scraps of paper, receipts, even plain cotton fabric can be painted on. But don't wash it if you want to keep the design. We're now equipped to paint.
We've just learned that paint can be made from basic household materials, that all paint is made of 3 special components, and that color mixing can be controlled through different kinds of ratios. What's one thing you enjoyed about this process? What's one thing that surprised you? You are invited to respond below. This video was made in partnership with myself, Nicole Rose Gelormino, and Arts Ed Matters. You can learn more at the websites linked in the video notes below, sfteachingartist.wordpress.com and artsedmatters.org.